Okay, there we go. I had to go find where I put my components. I just realized that my mic has gotten tangled. Give me just a moment. I gotta put my mic over here because the mount that I have that holds it is terrible. And it's been falling apart for years now. And I need to get a new one. But besides that, we're going to be soldering the matrix boards today. So I think I'm going to start with the hot swap switches, and then I'll go and move to the diodes. But I need to make sure that I have the right orientation first. If you haven't seen these, they are Kale hot swap switches. They are incredibly integral to being able to hot swap this keyboard. So, gotta install them where every switch will be. So we're gonna do that first. These are big and clunky and easy to get in their spot, but they're not. They need a lot of heat, so I don't want to solder a bunch of other components around them, just because. It's not like there's a right or wrong way. All right, there's one bag. Just gonna get. I have some that are in like this little plastic, this kind of thing, this reel, for like a SMT machine, but I don't have an SMT machine yet, so I don't really need them to be in a reel. So I'm just gonna dump them all over my desk. There we go. Let's make a pile. The autofocus thing loves to just put this gigantic, like, massive square over the whole screen. But I want you to be able to see this. I think that's good. Let me know in chat if it's not. Anyway, I'm going to take some flux and all of these, like, large pads here. I'm just going to add, like, a dot of flux every single one of them. And that's just going to help the solder on these pins adhere to the PCB. And the stuff is thick, so I'm going to kind of have to hold this with my whole fist. Yeah, so there's just a tiny dot on each. Here, I'll show you really close. There we go. See how there's like just a little yellow dot on those top four? That's what I'm going to do to every single square pad on here, like that. Just so that both sides of the hot swap socket are good to go. Then I might turn off the overhead light. Sorry, just a second. I forgot I had to log into my smart light app. It's so awesome. Further apologies. Not only is it a smart light app, but it's a smart light app that is making me verify my email to turn off my light. There we go. No, there's not that giant amount of glare over here, but we still have surrounding lighting. Okay. And this stuff is like Kester RF741 is like pretty viscous. So that's why I'm holding it like I'm desperately trying to get it out because I am. It's kind of like trying to push a bunch of tree sap through a ballpoint pen. So let me grab some just like tweezers. Okay. You know what I need to get? It's just like a little lapel mic. There we go. I'm just gonna seat them before. I like to seat all of them and then solder them all at the same time. Usually in columns if I can. And last one. All right, there we go. Grab our solder. Just cleaning the solder tip really quick. All right. Trying to see if I can put on my own music without stream picking it up. Okay. I think we're good to go. So I turned on my own music and just made sure it wasn't streaming because I was trying to set up stream to have music, but man, they make it so painful to try to have music on stream. So I just gave up. And if I go out of frame or you have a question or anything, I'm going to try and keep everything here so that you can see everything I'm doing. But basically, I'm holding the soldering iron to the pad as well as the foot. And then I'm just letting a little solder in there so that I can get it to adhere to the foot and then moving on to the next one. I'm just going to do columns at a time. It looks like rows right now because I have the whole board sideways, but yeah. Okay. All right, hold on. I got a little bit of garbage on my soldering iron. It's not letting it tin right. And just in case, if you have questions about anything, feel free to ask. It does not have to be relevant to this keyboard. Okay, now we only have these two columns left. There we go. I was being a little finicky. All right, last one. Well, last column. Looks like this one was cold, so it wasn't actually attached, which is something we're going to have to check for after I'm done, because I think this other one, I can't get as close as I normally do because I want to show you on camera. All right, I need to inspect it really quick. Looks like this is a cold joint right here too. I'm gonna add a little extra flux. Not much. Okay, that's attached. Alrighty, I think that's it for this guy. Or at least for the switches anyway. Because we still have to put on connectors, diodes, and actually I think that's it for this board. This one's pretty simple. It's just one connector and some diodes and regular key stuff. And I mean, yes, and the LEDs, but that's kind of, I kind of don't do that until the end because it's such a pain because they each have 4 pins. Yeah, I don't have the diodes over here right now, so I'm also going to yeah, so now when we orient it upward, it looks like this. And this is the bottom. So anyway, we're making the left half, so we need to solder as if it was face up as the right half. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to add the flux to all of these square pads like I did the first time. Then we're going to go through and add all of these. The flux helps the components stick, so if I move the board, they don't rattle or move. And then also pre-adding them is just nice. So I'm probably going to do this one row at a time though, because this is a lot. So I don't want to forget any. And with a wide selection, I might accidentally skip. So I'm going to do one row at a time. All right. We still have our little pile of extras over here. There we go. I accidentally just smeared that flux, which, whoops. There we go. Okay, now we're going to solder these and repeat until this whole board is done. That one did not want to spread out. Alrighty, there we go. Just cleaning it off real quick. Alright. Just gonna check up close that all things are attached to the pad. Looks like we're good to go. Alright, move on to the next row. Oh, skipped a step. Alright, let's place the next row. Oh, I forgot a pad actually. Alrighty, now we can solder. I kind of want to see if I can change out the soldering tip I'm using, so give me just a second. I'm switching out for a slightly larger chisel bit because I want to apply more heat faster. So I'm just gonna clean this up a little bit because I haven't used this bit, in a bit. Sick dad joke. So it's a little crusty, which is gross, but it's just molten metal. So what do you do? There we go. You can't really see it on the camera. I can lower it, but that's looking pretty good. This should be much quicker. Yeah, this is way faster. I don't know if I can get you close enough to like really see it. I think that's good. All right, there we go. Okay, there we go. I'm just gonna inspect those. Yeah, they look good. So, all right, next row. Also, if you're looking at the board and you're like, "Oh, this gross flux," you just wash it off with alcohol, like rubbing alcohol. I prefer 99%, but 70 works too. There we go. And then when we go back to lighter components like the diodes, we are going to switch the soldering tip back because the chisel is not small enough to do a diode. The chisel tip we have on now is what I mean. Also, I hope that one day I can get some music so that you guys can sit and chill out. But the thing I used to use is now a nightmarish subscription hell. So unfortunately, I can't use that anymore. They've changed it so it's super predatory too, because what they do is they only guarantee that the music is royalty free if you pay your subscription. So they'll just like copyright strike you for not paying their subscription, which I think is a gross practice. But again, I'm not a music company, so I guess whatever they got to do to pay artists, as long as they're paying them right, you know? Okay. I'm gonna flip it now. This chisel is so large that there's kind of like a cup. Like this is kind of U-shaped. I don't know. You definitely can't tell. Anyway, this foot is shaped like a bracket, and so I put the soldering iron. So like if there's a cup, hold on, it's shaped like this. So I put the soldering right up here, and then I insert the solder, the actual solder, into that cup and allow it to fill. That way there's like a really strong connection. But to do that, I have to get it flat up against here, and at the moment I'm soldering left-handed, so it's easier to just flip the board. I can solder. Oh, I am ambidextrous, but my cables are set up right now for left-handed use, so that's what I got. Alrighty. Okay. Now we'll move on to the next one. This is the same process over and over again, and we're just gonna do this 3 more times, so just a heads up. There we go. And try and orient these all so that they're easy to pick up in place. There we go. Oh. There we go. I have my camera attached to my microscope arm right now. This guy. The one you're looking through. Alright, there we go. Flip it. There we go. So the ultimate plan too is for DIY kits to come with very, very well documented and hopefully illustrated instructions. I want every single aspect of the experience of using this keyboard to be as user friendly as possible. All right, second to last row. All right. Last placement. It's kind of hard to keep this all framed. I've been trying to come up with a solution for my camera that works because my overhead camera is good for certain stuff. This camera likes to act like it's good at nothing. It's awesome. It's super fun to deal with. All right, let's go. Okay, yeah, it's funny. I actually forgot the second pin on these. So the bottom two rows have both left side, but not the right side. So let's flip it and do both at the same time. I was gonna say I knew something felt too quick. All right, there we go. So Now, if I grab a switch, I prefer a 1U key, not just a keycap. There we go. So now, we can actually plug in our keys. And it sounds kind of good, too. So I gotta angle my microphone. It's being a little jerk. But here. Sounds pretty cool. There's no acoustic deadening, so that switch does not sound how it's supposed to sound. But, you know, that's what happens when you put something on a bare PCB and do nothing else. Oh, and another small feature that I don't know if I've talked about. This keyboard, and I know nobody's here right now, but this might be good to just put on the record. This keyboard, if you're looking at it exactly as it is now, there are a thumb section here. There's going to be a module here. But most importantly, there's this macro section here. Like this. And it connects over here. And I realized while designing this, I was like, not everybody's going to want that. So if you are one of those people, solder that. No component, just solder it, bridge it, and it will bypass this entirely. So, same with the matrix. So if you want your LEDs to work, you just solder this, bypass everything, and then I might make like a toggle switch in the future software that will control that. So it basically, I want you to be able to add and subtract this keyboard as you want on the fly, with minimal hassle. And so this little guy just truncates the first part of the LED matrix and offsets everything so that this becomes 1 instead of this being 1, which is pretty neat. So, and it's a jumper, so it's actually like a very, very small line. It's hard to get the camera to show you, but basically it's like 2 half circles like this with a blank line down the center. So you solder onto it and bridge those, and it will bypass the gap. So basically this is an open connection at any given time, but it is labeled. This is solder to bypass macro LEDs, just in case you're a macro-less type of person, which honestly I might be too. I don't know yet. So I haven't gotten to use this, despite being who made it. I still haven't used this as much as I want to. I cannot describe to you just how much I'm working on this because I want to play with it. Of course I want to help people, but God, I want to play with this thing. Okay. I'm going to grab the diodes because I know I'm not going to want to do that later. But I'm absolutely not doing the LEDs because I love Adafruit. Don't get me wrong. Don't take this out of context. I ordered a bunch of SK2812s, or maybe it was, anyway, I ordered a bunch of tiny LEDs from Adafruit, and I guess from the factory they come in packages of 10, and I ordered like 200. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll get, 200 in like a reel. No, I got 10 bags. So I got 20 bags of 10. So I got a box of boxes full of smaller bags. I genuinely laughed out loud when I first got the LEDs. It is a mess to try to solder those. So I am absolutely avoiding it. Anyway, I'm going to go grab the diodes, and then we can work on the diodes. And then I'm going to turn off my soldering iron so I can swap back the tip. Okie dokie. I've got them. I tried to make sure that I used and intended the diodes that are used here are supposed to be as readable as possible, which isn't something that diodes are known for, because well, I mean, any electronics person out there can probably tell you, turn to your left, turn to your right. It could be anyone, but basically diodes are freaking tiny, and these ones especially, because they are meant for, sorry, I'm trying to make sure this isn't going to heat up while I bend this back to where it should be. There we go. I'm a tad heavy-handed at times. There we go. I'm just gonna clean this up too. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna turn this guy back on. Also, Metcal, huge shout out. Not sponsored. Love their soldering irons though. So Metcal, if you ever find this, send me cool stuff, please. No, I'm just kidding. Or am I? Okay, so anyway, I'm gonna start again with the smaller. No, I'm not, because I'm gonna hate having to go from the small one to this one. But anyway, this guy, in any board I probably design, unless explicitly said otherwise, is usually gonna be column to row orientation. So as this stands right now, as you're looking at it, diode should face down. And then you'll see like there's little tiny diode spots everywhere. There's one per key. So it's incredibly important because that enables like NKRO or 6KRO and other stuff. And it allows the keyboard to know that it's a keyboard and functions by keeping things at their appropriate charges. Also, I have my cat right over here. She is clingy, so she won't leave me alone, but she's just over here. So forgive me while I take a break to pet her. She's really cute. Here, hold on. So anyway, all right. Diodes are a bit tricky, and I'm going to turn this sideways because I want to hold them in orientation like this. Because basically, you hold a diode, you place it in the right orientation, and then you solder one pin before you let go. I mean, it's kind of common sense, but I don't know if there's anyone here that doesn't have electronics experience. So in case there is, yeah, basically this only has two very small pads, and so it's very hard to orient. So that's usually what I do to make it easier on me. But anyway, this thing has how many keys? I designed it and I don't know off the top of my head. Forgive me. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 30. 39 keys on the base matrix. So we need 39 diodes. Okay, here's 39. So I'm just going to snip it here. I just don't want to pull a bunch of slack out of this bag. So you'll understand the more the more electronics components that you purchase and put into your personal laboratory, should you choose to build one, the more you'll understand all these weird, small, unspoken things I'm doing if I don't explain something. And if I don't explain something and you're curious, just ask, and I will try my best to answer. Okay. Anyway, there's our fun little special electronic sand. Here, I actually have to move it lower. There we go. You can see how tiny these things are. And there is a like micron thick white line that says that this little piece of sand right here, it's facing that way. I can't show you on the camera, of course, but so anyway, I'm going to try and use my right hand because I have to hold these things in orientation and expose the pads. So I'm just going to do this. And I don't usually use flux with these because they're so small that there's just not really a point. All right. It is actually being finicky, which is weird. It's not typical, but it might just because of the amount of airflow right now. I'm just going to add a little bit of flux to help things settle. There we go. Okay, well, because of that experience, I'm just going to, just in case, I'm just going to add a little bit of flux to these diode positions on this column. There we go. Okay, there we go. This is a lot slower, so because I have to check the orientation of every diode. You can see just how tiny this thing is. There's 2 pins. I'm trying to get this tip to 10. It's being weird. There we go. All right. Let's try to zoom in. Here we go. Hopefully that's better. Sometimes it's just easy like that. Okay, cool. Next column. A little bit just like sitting there, and that's what helps me get the first like pin done. Alrighty. Moving kind of quick. It's right around now. I was supposed to do some laser cutting, but unfortunately, my schedule was changed. So I am trying to stay productive and doing this instead. Had to reorganize a bunch of stuff, but happens. Where did that diode go? I dropped it, I think. Did I? Yeah. Whoop. Right there. Let me just, yeah, okay. This is the right orientation. Thank you for subscribing. How are you doing today? There we go. So I'm just working on this pin right there. Actually, I don't think I need any more solder. Whoops. Turns out, yes, I do. All right. All right, there we go. And another column done. Sick. All right. Time for some flux. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 columns left. But the nice thing is that the we started at the high side, so it does actually decrease as we go. So trying to get even less than before, so I'm like just trying to barely put any on the board, because this stuff really, you really don't need a lot. Basically, if you can see that there's any there, it's probably enough. Okay, so I got switch this. Also, pro tip, if you ever do this wrong, if you ever find out that you put all of your diodes the wrong way, you can go into the firmware and you can just swap row to call, which means the row to column orientation of the diodes, and switch it to call to row, and you can save your whole keyboard by just swapping the direction that it thinks it's going to be arriving in. So just do a minor recompile on a slightly custom firmware where you accidentally put the diodes on backwards, and you're good to go. And then we really won't be able to test this until the controller is, well, the V2 controller is here. So I'll just come back through once the controller is done, and I'll have it plugged in, and I'll just press all the keys and track on a heat map what keys are not being activated, and I'll go through and I'll just resolder if anything's like loose, or, and that, you know, that'll be in a couple weeks, but still. Okay, I know this is the right orientation now. I just kind of always try to keep a tiny bit of solder on there, so that when I lower this to the board, I just have enough to finish the pin. These are so small, I don't really need to bring the solder over to it on its own. All right, there we go. Next one. Oops. There we go. That one was being a little jerk. I wish I could, like, maybe one day, but I wish I could, like, upload what I see from my eyes so that you could see this. Because there's a tiny, like, white etching. It's like half the width of a human hair. And that's what I'm looking for. That's how I check orientation. And I actually had a friend in the Navy that had somewhat bad eyesight when it came to small stuff like that. And so another way you can do that is you can get like just any multimeter, pretty much any multimeter that has the ability to check diode orientation, or just, you know, resistance, honestly, and you can just test the orientation yourself if you can't see it. Or like I got diodes at one point that didn't have the line on it, like it just didn't come out like at all, and so I had to test each diode one at a time, which is a huge pain, but I was on an insane deadline, so I just had to. But yeah, there's a lot of ways you can get unstuck if you feel stuck in electronics. A lot of workarounds. Like, you'd probably think I was crazy if I told you that the controller actually has no idea what pin is a column or a row until I explicitly tell it. Like, nothing is really that hard to like fix if you need to. All right. Oh, I dropped another one. Yeah, we found it. We're good. Oh wait, we're on the next column, so I'm gonna put that guy down. That's the only thing that has always frustrated me. If you can't tell by the size of my fingers compared to the things around here, uh, my hands are not petite. So that's the hardest thing about physical small objects for me. It's not picking them up, manipulating them, or like moving them around. It's letting go because it like just sticks. Just will not let go of you. It's frustrating. Or when it does, it goes Mach 5 in some direction and makes a very, very small noise across the room. So there's just no point. All right. Here we go. Here we go. We're just getting lucky. I keep picking these up and they're already in the right orientation. I jinxed it. I just immediately dropped it when I said that. Here we go. All right. Now it gets slightly shorter. Just want to make sure that I can show you this. Oh wait, no. This is the last row until it starts getting shorter. My bad. All right, there we go. There we go. My microphone keeps turning on its own. It's my favorite thing. And by that I mean this is quite frustrating and unintended. There we go. Sorry about that. There we go. All right. Last one on this column. Actually, I'm trying to read the orientation. This one's a little unclear. Looks like the ink failed, but luckily there's a cut mark so I can tell where the orientation is. All right, second to last row. Okay. So now I gotta apply flux to the diode spots on this second to last row. Thanks. Alrighty, get this guy soldered. I forgot to move our flux to the designated spot. There we go. That's out of my way. I'm gonna try and keep this in frame. I need to get in here. Hey, oh. Okay. Sick. It does work. Thanks. Alrighty. Get this little guy right there. Can't really see him, but there you go. Okay, I'm just gonna clean this off really quick. And we'll tin it again. All right. Uh-oh. I accidentally just grabbed that one in a way that did that thing I was telling you about where they teleport across a room. So I'll just grab one more in a bit, but I would have had exactly enough, but unfortunately quantum tunneling exists. I'm gonna move this to where I like, and then I'm just gonna pull you over there. There we go. Okay, last row or column. Y'all ready? This is the last ones. Dang, I really wish I didn't lose that one diode. It's not like it's not 1/100th of a cent or something, but it annoys me. It bothers me in my soul. Anyway, there's only 4 left here. Get this first one. I have sorry if it's so blurry. I have gigantic. What are you doing? It's not gonna get you. It's not gonna get you. Sorry, my cat has become quite concerned with if this orange plastic thing is going to attack her. As you can see, she's very concerned about it. I don't share her concern. He's so sweet. Alrighty. And then 3 more. Alright, now we just need 1 more diode for this board and several more for the others. So we need 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 plus another 12, so 24, 25. We need 25 diodes to finish up this keyboard. There is another part off screen that I did the other day that I forgot to add diodes to, so I'm going to cover that here on camera, and then we're going to call it. 25 right there. Thoughts on keyboard layouts, alternatives? Honestly, I'm pretty vanilla, man. I don't know. I haven't tried many other than QWERTY, but I've heard Dvorak's great. But I do know that I checked and I'm pretty sure I remembered Dvorak's layout. But any layout you want, you can support on this keyboard. I know that's for sure. I'm trying to get the plastic off, but I have gigantic hands. Bear with me. Come on. There we go. All this for this one guy right here. I'm just going to leave the rest of them in this little package for the moment because I don't want to accidentally flick them everywhere like I did earlier. Grab this last guy. Oh, we already don't need flux, but I do need a little bit of extra solder. Come on. There we go. What about you? Are you do you use any alternatives there, Mr. John Duke. All right, there we go. Let me just... Boom. There we go. So we got all of our switches on. All of our diodes. We're not doing the LEDs today. I don't want to. They're terrible. They're 4 pins. They're not that terrible, but I don't want to. So anyway, enough said. Anyway, there we go. Look, boom. I could probably put the connectors on at some point. Actually, I'll put this connector on because I have that right here, and it's not a super delicate or tight part to like have to work around. I'm vanilla as well. Haven't tried others. Ah, I see. That's fair. Colmac, I have also heard. You said you have a friend yelling at you that Colmac is better. I have also heard that, and I do really want to try it, but I don't really have time at the moment. So anyway, really quick, this little connector. This is going to be the power for onboard, and this guy just goes right there. So, yeah, there'll be full documentation with illustrations, and any reference that you could possibly need will be available to you should you build or buy this. Just heads up, but you'll see. This just goes here, and it's what allows the board and the LED matrix to have power and a fuse. This is very important because this is specifically fused so that this board can turn off if it needs to save power, which is really nice. Anyway, let me get the flux on there. Also, John, I don't know if you'll recognize this. It's my favorite. I still get it to this day. All right. I'm going to prime one of these grounding pads with a bit of extra solder. Then I'm going to hold this component on there. Alright, I need a chisel. I'm just gonna... Don't judge me too much, okay? We're just gonna hot swap in a new solder tip. Give it a second to warm up. And there we go. Should be ready. Cool. All right, hold on. I gotta get weirdly close for this. Okay, funny enough, now I actually need the other bit, so don't judge me again. Okay. I'm gonna add even more flux just because these are big pins on a ground plane. Okay, now I'm going to just visually check that. Okay, there we go. I'll now that I've done this once, at least I see where I could have done it better, and I'll do it better next time. But yeah, this is just basically this connector is your ground and 5 volts, and then here is where the matrix will pop in. But these pins are so fine that I need to use my hot air, and I just am not sure if I want to do that on camera without being able to get super close. So I think I'm just gonna call it there for this board and then move on to the next, because we still got to put diodes on the macro and thumb cluster. So we'll swap out for the macro. All right, and we need 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 diodes for this guy. There we go. Just gonna keep it right there. I'm just gonna do all of these at once just because this is so small. Alrighty, there we go. Cool. You know, I've been chilling here listening to music this entire time, and I'm realizing that you guys don't have music because I couldn't find a way to play music. I need to figure that out, because I am fully aware that this is not that entertaining. There we go. Just gonna tilt this a bit. There we go. Okay. A little bit more solder on the tip of the soldering iron. And then after this, I do have to disassemble the small amount of the case that is around this the last part we're gonna do, but that won't take very long at all. And in fact, it's just reminded me that I need to redesign the middle piece to have slightly more room, but that's about it. There we go. And then flip this guy. A little bit more. Bless you. My wife is sneezing. Okay. There we go. On to the next row or column. It's funny, I know that they're columns, but because I have it sideways, I keep calling them rows. It's my internal autocorrect. Trying to get this diode over here. It's being finicky. There we go. Did not grab enough solder this time, so let me grab a little bit more. There we go. We only have these 4 left. Here, 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 and here. And if you're worried about, oh, they're so close to the edge of the board, don't worry. There's nothing even close to touching this edge. In fact, all of the force is on this tab, so good to go. And if the macro PCB happens to be moving side to side in a horizontal fashion, you have much bigger problems. Alrighty, almost. Yeah, this is a really good song, so it's very hard for me to come up with things to talk about right now. Not gonna lie. Whoop, a little bit more. There we go. Project are you building? Oh, hi. I am building something that we're working on here at Mimic Labs called the Dungeon Delver. It's an somewhat accessibility focused keyboard for one-handed individuals that's outfitted for anyone to use. So right now I am about to do a full build out, so I need to finish the multiple PCBs. Not the LEDs, of course, but yeah, it's a split ergonomic keyboard meant for one-handed individuals and or anyone. It has additive and subtractive modules, hot swappable, and the goal is to make it as repairable and open source as possible. Well, sorry, it's make it repairable as possible and open source. So, and then if you want any more info, I can link our website in the chat if you're interested. It just has info on kind of more what I'm talking about, if you're curious. But yeah, I'm putting on the last 2 LEDs of this board here. Sorry, diodes of this board here. All right, last one. How are you today? All right, this last diode is being a little finicky, so I'm just going to add a little extra solder. I think I just missed it with a bit of flux, so it's just gonna add a bit more, supplement it. There we go. I saw it seep in there. There we go. So that's the macro board. Now I just need to disassemble. So let me zoom out a bit. But this is the thumb board. This is where If it was the left side, you would have your space. Personally, see, and these are all reprogrammable if you're wondering, but I typically have space, delete, up, left, right, down arrow, and then I swap these out for other things. But and then if you're curious even further, these don't have to be 2 U keys. You can actually swap 1 U keys into here as long as I match the orientation. Let me find it. Come on. There you go. So you can have, I need the switch to come with it, please. There we go. So without even firmware changes, you can change the orientation of your keyboard. And look at that. So no firmware changes, but I now have a different orientation of keys. And these also could be 4 1U keys instead of 2 2U keys. So ultimate customizability, right? But the nice thing is that anytime you put in a tall key or a 2U key, it will default to be the same function as the bottom row here. And then the top row is separate. So if you have 8 keys, you have 8 keys. If you have 4 keys, you have 4 keys. And anywhere in between, as long as it's an even number. Cool project. Is it the board shown in the first video on your channel? Yeah, it is. Yeah, that is the Dungeon Delver. It was at the time named the Meridian because I didn't know the name was taken, but it's been renamed and the website should be linked there if you're interested. But yeah, I gotta take this guy apart really quick because we gotta get in here. I forgot to put diodes on it. And then if you're curious what the current day prototype looks like, I can show you here. This is closer to the release candidate. Give me just a moment though, because I want to add on the thumb cluster so you can see it. But that's what it looks like. So you would type, where did I put my 1U key? There it is. So anyway, this guy can move and tent, so that it's as comfortable to type on as it can be. And then you have your macro keys over here, which is the board that we were soldering earlier. So this is what goes inside of here. And then there's going to be an add-on module here. And then these will swap out. And then this is for bridging. So you can bridge to the other half. And then because this thing rotates, it stays flat to the table. And you can dock a numpad here. And I am designing that here soon. But this will probably be a swappable touchpad, something like a touchpad, or a scroll wheel will go here, or like a slider. Basically whatever you want can go here, and the infrastructure to make your own modules will be publicized, so anyone in the community can add on. Whoops. Can I have that? Thanks, though. All right, sorry, just a sec. Okay, sorry, I dropped something. Alrighty, let me put these keys off to the side. I'm grabbing my screwdriver. Alrighty, now I got this. And there's the bit I was needing. Now this is of course a prototype, so it won't be 3D printed unless you want it to be 3D printed. There we go. Alrighty. Pop the back panel off. And we'll swap bits. And it's this middle piece that I'm coming up on here, I'm unscrewing. That needs to be slightly altered, just because I did change a little bit of the foam geometry. So anyway, take this middle, there we go. So this piece is good, but this piece that it is docked into is not good. So you can see it's a little snug, so it doesn't quite sit level. It's kind of hard to tell. If I turn it like that, you can see it's actually crooked right now. It's because only part of it decompressed. So we're just going to pop that guy out. And this is how small the thumb board is. So, just a little guy. But as you can see, it's kind of crazy looking because each column is capable of either 2 1U or 1 2U. So, and still LEDs. That was that was difficult. I almost had to nix the LEDs on this board because I was worried about how much I've already cut into it, but it seems to have worked, so you know, no complaints. But anyway, this guy's missing diodes, so let's get the diodes on there. And then I'm gonna check the orientation. I didn't realize that my silk screen. Hold on. Actually, my silk screen is fine. Yeah, we're good. I just didn't see the underline. My bad. Okay, so this will be the last 12. Oh wait, this will actually only be 8 diodes. I forgot. The center channel, the ones for the 2U keys, are actually electrically identical to the bottom row. So you technically don't have. There's technically only 8 keys on here, even though there are 12 positions. So I'm gonna face it like this because all the diodes will face that way. And then I'm gonna start with these, like, I'm just gonna start with a little bit of flux on each pad. All right, perfect. All right, and then I have 4 extra that are just gonna have to sit there because I forgot that I only put a couple diodes on here. Wow, twisting and modularity really sold it. Fascinating. Open source means the schematics will be on the site. My keyboard is 15 years old, and I might grab this opportunity to DIY a new one. Yeah. So the plan is after launch, because it's kind of complex to explain, but basically after launch, the keyboard will then be licensed under CC OHL-S blah 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 something. There's a full write-up on the website. Our website's called mimiclabs.studio. If you have any questions about kind of how the legality will work and what will be available, it's all there for reference. Just because I know that licensing can get like confusing, and I wanted it to be as like easy to understand or reference at any time as possible. So if you ever have a question, it is on the website under the info and frequently asked questions. But yeah, so every board, the case, the schematics, the software, the firmware will all be open source and be modifiable by the community. And then there will be full build kits available for sale, as well as DIY kits available for sale, with the option, if you are a one-handed user, to purchase just the side that you need. But yeah, every resource you need to manufacture it yourself will be available at some point. I just need to proof it first. Okay, let's get this last one. Oh, I gotta zoom back in. Whoop. And then I'll move this guy over here. There we go. I'm like, this orientation is straight for me, but not for you. There we go. I just want to make sure that I'm comfortable, but you guys can see. This is a little finicky, but that's okay. But yeah, so there'll be add-on and addable and subtractable modules that are fully optional. There's bypasses for the thumb cluster and the macro cluster. So if you're just not a fan, you just unplug them. Or for the macro side, there is actually a bypass to truncate the LEDs from the matrix, but it is a non-component, just kind of solder bridge. So hopefully that's easy enough for everybody if they need to remove the macro pad. But yeah, this thing is supposed to be as customizable as possible. But thank you so much. I'm really glad that hopefully this can help you out. I'm a huge keyboard collector, so you know, it was only time that I made my own. I gotta position this with my finger really quick. There we go. Ah! There we go. Cool. It's funny, I've made a lot of keyboards, and this board just looks crazy to me. I made it and it still looks crazy to me. Sorry, I'm trying to get this thing to orient. There we go. Cool. Oops. I'm gonna put 2 diodes on at a time, just because this is such a small space that I do have to like rotate it. Okay. So we got 2, 3, 4. We just have these 4 left, and then that's it. I mean, of course, we're not doing the LEDs right now because it's not really a necessary function, and I am on a tight deadline, so. All right. Second one, and then we'll flip it, get the second pin, and then move on to the next column, or the last column. It's much more fun when I get to like talk to people and do this at the same time. Usually I sit here for hours just kind of in silence or listening to music. That's my favorite thing about YouTube, is just like being able to build a community. Because I know there's people out there that could answer questions I didn't know I had, and other people out there that need questions answered that I didn't know someone could have, which is neat. Humanity is fascinating. And just being privileged enough to make something that might affect somebody positively is just, I'm just really happy about that. Anyway, your stream reminded me of an old Soviet 20-watt audio preamp constructor I was soldering. I've grabbed my equipment and continuing now. Nice. Heck yeah. Well, 20-watt audio preamp constructor. Ooh, that sounds fun. Funny enough, I actually used to work at an audio equipment company. That's kind of how I got my big start into the industry. I designed all of their products and did animations for the company too. It was really fun. But that sounds really fun, yeah. And old Soviet electronics are so fun to work on. Oh, and there we go. And these are the last ones. I don't know why my voice is... I think it's because I was doing a Shaggy impression this morning, actually. That's probably why my voice is cracking. Alrighty, there we go. Sweet. I'm debating if I want to try to solder this guy. I don't know if you can see the fine pitch on that. Actually, wait. Yeah, you can see that. That's not quite as fun as some of the other stuff to solder. So I'm probably gonna have to pop this in like a toaster up or something. But that's it. That's pretty cool right there. I wish I had more room to put some art on these boards, but I always go above and beyond with the controller instead, so. But yeah, there you go. These are also reversible, so there are only 3 SKUs, which makes this board even cheaper to manufacture. I'm pretty excited about that. But yeah, that makes all 3 boards ready, and I'll pull them all out so you can see them in a second. So we've got the main board. There's a little bit of cat hair everywhere. There's a little cat over here, right there. But anyway, this is how it would be oriented. Inside the case, of course. That's what it looked like from the bottom. Anyway. Pretty cool, huh? That's what we did today. Every diode, every hot swap connector, added the power connector just because I'm not going to want to do it later. So I was like, I'll just get it done now. And then the final board here. So in the proper orientation for this to be used, it would look like this. Because I do typically make the left half prototype first before I make the right half. That's because it's easy to keep track of half of a symmetrical design, and then I just mirror it. It works in manufacturing too, so, you know, why wouldn't I do it that way? But anyway, thanks so much for watching and asking questions and hanging out. It was a really fun one. About 2 hours, 2 hours 15 minutes ish. I mean, it's 2 hours and 11 minutes at the moment, but still. But that's it. I actually have to get this guy, what you're looking at now, prepped to be fully assembled in a release candidate case later. So I have to cut the acoustics, the acoustic foam that goes here and below it. And I have to modify the parts that these sit on top of. So I've got a lot of work to do, and I've got to get to it now. So I'm going to call the stream here, and I hope to see you all in the future. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. If you have any more questions, just post them anywhere, and I'll or hop in the Discord, and I'll answer them as soon as I can. But thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. I'm Nick the Mimic. Bye-bye.